Hey, this is John Fernay, the co-host of the Maryland Crabs, and I am here today with a Maryland Crabcake for your listening pleasure. What's a crabcake? It's not quite a full episode, it's just a little snippet. Stay tuned and check it out. And make sure you check us out on themarylandcrabs.com. You can follow us on Twitter at MD Crabs Podcast, or find us on Facebook at the Maryland Crabs Podcast. And don't forget, subscribe, rate us, iTunes. Go there now. Hey, we are on the phone with Chris Smither, who is going to be coming to Ram's Head on June 7th. It's a Thursday night. There are a few tickets still available, and you can get them at ramsheadonstage.com. And Chris, thank you very much for giving us a call this afternoon just to talk about what we can expect. And it's not very often that we get musicians of your caliber, and I don't want to say age, but I mean, you've been doing this forever, for so long. I mean, when I say age, that makes it sound like, okay, well, he's got the handicap spot out front, he's got the walker, and but it's not. I mean, your musical career spans, you're 55, 56 years of playing music, right?
I think so, yeah, it is.
And I think it's, I mean, for those who aren't aware, Chris Smither is just, they tag it as American folk, but I would go more blues with a little side bit of country, old country in there, guitarist and a songwriter, a performer. He's got 17 albums. Did I get that right? I think so.
Yeah, you did. I think so. I've heard everything from 15 to 18, so 17 sounds like a good...
Okay, good. So we're in the neighborhood.
It depends on whether which ones you count as albums, I think, but I gave up counting, several, I think a decade ago,
We've been seeing music from Chris Smither since his first album back in 1970 with I'm a Stranger Too, and one that just was released earlier this year called Call Me Lucky, which I had the opportunity to, and actually anybody that's listening to this can go to YouTube and catch it because it's good, but don't catch it on YouTube only. Go to Ram's Head and see him live, because live music is much better than recorded music, and I'm going to stick with that and never back down from that. But you got your start, and I didn't realize this, but in a contest, a battle of the bands back in 1960.
Oh my God, yeah, I forgot. So I'm always amazed that people know anything about that. Yeah, that was in the very beginning of the folk boom, and there was a movie called Hootenanny Hoot, and the local theater, the Sanger Theater in New Orleans, that's where I was living at the time. That's where I grew up. And they promoted this contest between showings of the movie of sort of the local folk groups. And this friend of mine who sort of played guitar said, "Hey, let's get together with Jerry. I got this song. We can play this song, and I bet you we can win this." So we all dressed up in matching Madras shirts, our best Kingston Trio imitation, and we won. It was amazing.
And that's where it started, I guess. And then it just...
Well, I think that was the first time I ever got paid for a public performance, because what we won was I think $100 savings bond or something like that. It was
do you still have it by chance, or did you cash that in and trade it in on a 6-pack of beer somewhere?
I actually, entrepreneur that I was at the time, we had to split it up. So I think at the time the bond, it was a savings bond, so it was worth, if you cashed it in, it was worth $66. But if you hung on to it for 5 years, it was worth $100, or something. I forget what the period of time was. So I bought out the other two guys and then held on to the bond.
Hey, America, what a country! What a country! I mean, you've had an incredibly, also a long relationship with just some greats. I mean, you've got Bonnie Raitt, and I know she's closed out several of her songs, and she actually played here at the Chesapeake Bay Blues Festival, which we talked a little bit before we got recording here, and saying that it's we need to get you to play the Chesapeake Bay Blues Festival. And I after we get done here, I'm going to call Don Hooker and his daughter and say, okay, this is the guy that you need to get. Definitely talking to him about it next year.
Tell him I'll be there.
Oh, it's great. I mean, new blues, old blues. It's keeping the blues alive, and it's just such a great festival. And they jokingly say they had their 20th year, and of course it rained, and they said they've had 2 years of sunshine, and that's about it. So it's almost come to expect that it's going to rain, but it's right at the base of the Chesapeake Bay Bridge. It's just a fantastic location.
Sounds good to me.
But you've worked with Bonnie Raitt, who's you've written songs for her. You've written songs for Emmylou Harris and Diana Krall, and the depth of what you do is really phenomenal. And when Bonnie Raitt says you're her Eric Clapton, I think you just sort of hang up the phone, drop the mic, and go on home at that point. But
she said that backstage at a concert when she was like really totally aware that there were about 3 or 4 big time journalists around, and she made sure that they heard her say it too. So it's one of those quotes that you will die for.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, own it. There's no reason for that. But and you're out on tour now and supporting Call Me Lucky, which is your 17th or possibly 18th, we're not quite sure, album on that. And what are you coming with? Are you coming solo, or are you coming with your...
No, I'm coming solo. It's I've been working a lot with the guys that were on the record, but I'm coming in solo this time. And in a way, that's you get to hear the songs the way they were originally conceived. I mean, normally when I write the songs, they're basically designed to be played by one guy, sung by one guy. And then I finally, over the years, I finally developed a bunch of people who understand what it's like to be on a produced Chris Smither album. And the whole object is to frame it and expand on it, but don't step on it. So it took a long time to find people who could play that way,
You're such a prolific, performer as well as a writer. Do you have a preference as to, do you prefer to perform, or do you prefer to write on the backside?
Oh, I write the songs so that I can perform. I mean, basically that's what I do. I like to get up in front of people and say, hey, let's take this trip, see what we can do. And the best kind of audience, and that's one of the nicest things about the Rams Head, because they always have a good audience there that understands that they have a part to play, and let's take a trip, together. And the best kind of audience is an audience just like that understands that they participate, they actually make it happen. And by contrast, there are audiences that can make it not happen too. And you run into those too, but you never find those at the Rams Head. It's just hard to explain, but it's something that you learn after years of performance.
Well, I've talked to a number of people that have played through the room, and I have zero talent as far as any kind of music goes, and everybody seems to love the size of the room. It's small, and they like to play to a smaller, intimate audience for the most part.
It's perfect, it's one of those things that your agent would much prefer you to play places that hold 3 times as many people. Because there's a question of money involved, but actually in terms of artistic performance, it really is. It's about the ideal size, 200 or 300 people. That's perfect.
By the way, my favorite on Call Me Lucky is Nobody Home, because it's just a real down-home bluesy rockin' song. And I mean, I heard a little bit of Roy Buchanan in there.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's an interesting idea. Yeah, I hear that. I hear that.
And
that's somebody from your part of the neck of the woods there, so you would hear that before anybody else would.
Yeah, I hear some strange things. People look at me. I know I've got some friends. I said, I hear Paul Carrick and your son singing that. And he's like, okay, that's really obscure, but okay, we'll take it. But are we going to be supporting the album? I mean, are we going to be performing everything from this album, or are we going to go back into your collection?
Oh, I'll go back into the collection. I mean, if I played nothing but what was on the record, the set would only be about 40 minutes.
Right.
No, I play almost the whole record. I will play almost all the new ones there. I may leave 1 or 2 out, but I try to get the whole thing in. So that's about maybe half the show at best,
Right.
And then the rest of it gets filled out with back catalog stuff. But most of those are favorite, somebody's favorite anyway. If not mine, then somebody in the audience.
Right. Well, that's true. Well, this record's been somewhat of a long time coming. I mean, the one previous to this was the double CD, Still on the Levee, back in 2014. So it was about 4 years on this one.
Right.
What brought you back into the studio for this time, or just was it time?
It was just time, I start worrying that people are going to think I died, so it's time to put out something new.
That's never good when you show up in a trivia contest as dead or alive.
Yeah, really.
Betty White is still alive.
It has a lot to do with, getting bored, there's a thing about having new material that just puts a whole new life into it. It puts new life into the old songs too. It's kind of amazing, It takes me longer than it takes some people to write new stuff, but it's still coming. It's still coming.
Where have you drawn your inspiration for your lyrics and your songs?
Oh, just life, I spent 2 or 3 years reading books. I read books all the time, constantly, both fiction and nonfiction, and you get these ideas. Sometimes I make little notes, about things to think about when it comes time to write songs, and it just influences your thinking. And then usually all the songs get written within a 6 to 9 month period, so basically they almost all reflect something that I've been thinking about fairly recently.
That's interesting.
They sort of hang together that way. They may not hang together thematically, but they hang together in terms of what my contemporary thought is at the time,
Okay, you talked about drawing your experiences from there. Where do you bring your influences from musically? I mean, who do you draw from? I mean, from obviously when you start back in the 60s.
Well, way back when, when I was first starting to learn guitar, the two main guys that I listened to were Lightnin' Hopkins and Mississippi John Hurt, and you can still hear both of them in my playing. Lyrically, probably Randy Newman was a huge influence. I've been writing songs for some time before I heard Randy Newman, but he just opened up a whole new door into what you could do.
I saw him last fall. Rams had brought him up here last fall to and it was a great show. I think it was just before Christmas.
He's fabulous. It's funny. Most people, I imagine most people in the public just think of him as a movie guy. I mean, he's much better known as a writing scores for movies than he is as a pop songwriter. But my God, he put a whole new stamp on how to write a pop song.
Yes, he did. The other one that was similar to that was Thomas Dolby. He's known for the sampling, and Blinded Me with Science is the only thing. But I mean, just some of the stuff that he's done, and he's actually a professor up here at Johns Hopkins now. But it's teaching music to the students there. And you were also in a book. Now the book's still on the levee. It's the name of the title, and that's your lyrics from 66 to 2012. Now, is that something that you produced, or was that something just that you were the subject of?
Yeah, the book is just a collection of my lyrics, 50 years of lyrics from up to not including the current album, but and that was done basically not in response to a lot of people saying that they would just like to have a book of the lyrics, not necessarily the music, but just the words, and so we put one together.
By chance, will you have that with you or a copy of that with you at the show?
Yeah, I probably will.
Where could I get that? I mean, is that an Amazon type of a thing, or
you can get it? You can get it off my website, but if you come to the show, I'll give you one.
Well, no, I mean, it sounds fantastic. I mean, just from the depth of what you've gotten, the length of time and everything else. With it says it's spanning from 66 to 2012, plus the images and performance stuff and everything else that you've done. It just seems pretty incredible. When was the last time you were in Annapolis? Do you remember?
It doesn't seem like that long ago. I mean, I think I play the Rams Head almost every year, so it was probably no more than 14 months, maybe only 12 months ago.
Well, you will be back again on Thursday, June 7th. We're going to keep the rain away because we're getting it all this week. We think that we're like Seattle. We're pretending to be, but we've got Chris Smither, who has been a blues singer, guitarist, songwriter for 54 years and counting strong. He is not dead. He is.
That's right.
He is here, and he's going to be bringing Call Me Lucky and his other art to the Rams Head on June 7th. Do you have a favorite song off of Call Me Lucky?
Oh, yeah. Well, I like Nobody Home. That's a good one. But to tell you the truth, I think probably my favorite. But I haven't really determined a favorite yet. That usually happens about a year in. You realize it. that this one is the one that sticks out for you. But I like Down to the Sound, and I like By the Numbers as well.
Well, I'll tell you what, as we go out of this, I will grab one of those and put it on here, and then that way, when I do that, YouTube and Facebook and everything else can mute it, because I'm sure it'll be a copyright infringement, which drives me crazy. But talking to the guy that wrote it and sang it, and sorry, but you can't play it. But we will do that. I look forward to meeting you. I would, if you have the book there, I am going to pick it up there. If not, I'm going to go and pick it up off of your website. And if you want to learn more about Chris Smither, you can go to smither.com, and that's SMITHER. And lots of great pictures, lots of great history. Certainly, an iconic singer that's coming back again to Ram's Head on stage in Annapolis in about a week.
All right.
Hey, Chris, thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thanks, John.
This has been the Maryland Crabs podcast with Tim Hamilton and John Fernay. Sure to follow them in all the regular places, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and online at themarylandcrabs.com. Take a moment to rate us on iTunes. Now, get the hell out of my kitchen. Seriously, go!
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.